Smoke was rolling up from my backyard, black and thick, and for a second I thought the whole place was going to go up in flames. The pool, the crops, maybe even my home. Fire trucks were tearing down my gravel driveway while I stood there frozen, watching the water of my pool burn like it had turned into gasoline itself. And all I could think was, this is what happens when you cross an HOA president who thinks she owns the whole damn world. I never signed up for any HOA, never wanted any part of their rules or their fake little community politics. My land had been farmland long before the subdivision popped up around me. Out here, I was one of the last holdouts still running things the old way. Quiet. Self-sufficient. The one indulgence I gave my wife was that pool. She'd always dreamed of having one, even if we didn't live in the city. So I built it for her. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours, and it gave us some joy on hot days. That's it. That's all it was supposed to be. Then Karen showed up. Not to my face. At first, I knew about her. Everyone did. The new HOA president, short blonde bob, pearls, and a smile that could cut glass. She had a reputation for storming onto people's porches with violation notices, lecturing them about lawn height or fence color. I figured as long as I stayed out of her subdivision, she'd leave me alone. Boy, was I wrong. One Saturday, I came back from the feed store and nearly had a heart attack. There were cars lined up along the road, people in swimsuits running through my yard, smoke from grills rising up. I walked into my backyard, and there must have been 80 people crammed around my pool, drinking, splashing, laughing like it was some public water park. I thought maybe I'd lost my mind. I grabbed the first guy I saw and demanded to know what the hell was going on. He just smiled, handed me a flyer, and said, "HOA pool party, didn't you get the invite?" My blood boiled. I asked him who was in charge, and sure enough, there she was, Karen, standing near the deep end, martini in hand like some queen presiding over her court.
"Who do you think you are?" I yelled, storming up to her. "You can't just invite the entire neighborhood onto my land."
She looked me up and down, cool as ice, and said, "Actually, I can. This property belongs to the HOA now. We designated it as common space for members. So unless you're on the list, which you're not, you should probably leave." I laughed in disbelief. "Leave? Lady, this is my house, my pool. You're the ones trespassing. I ought to call the cops right now. Or better yet, go grab my shotgun and clear this place out myself." Karen's eyes narrowed, and her voice dropped low. "If you bring a gun anywhere near here, you'll be in prison so fast, you won't even know what happened. We have lawyers who'd love to make an example out of you." I walked back inside, shaking, called the police, and waited. When the officers showed up, I explained everything. Lucky for me. These weren't city cops. They knew the land. They knew my family. They told Karen straight to her face that this wasn't HOA property. It was mine. And if she didn't clear out, she'd be the one in cuffs. She didn't leave quietly. She ranted about lawsuits, swore the HOA would make this right. But eventually her crowd dispersed, giving me dirty looks on the way out. I thought that was the end of it. But the way Karen stared at me before she left, it was a promise. This wasn't over. For a few days, things were quiet. Too quiet. I knew she was plotting something, but I had no idea just how far she'd go. Then it happened. I came home late one evening to flashing lights and the smell of smoke. My stomach dropped. The pool was on fire. Sounds crazy, right? But gasoline burns even on water. And she had dumped gallons of it into my pool, lit it, and watched the flames spread to the grass. The fire had already reached the edge of my crops. If the wind had shifted, I might have lost my whole house. Firefighters were cussing, yelling, working like mad to put it out. When it was finally over, I stood there staring at the charred mess. The pool lining was destroyed. The filter melted. The yard scorched black. My wife was crying. And for the first time, I wondered if Karen had won. I sat on the porch later that night, head in my hands, and thought maybe I should have just let them use the damn pool. Maybe if I hadn't fought back, none of this would have happened. What was the point? They had money, power, lawyers. I was just one guy on a farm. Maybe I should sell the place, get out before they burned me out completely. But then I remembered I had cameras. They weren't high-tech, just a couple of old security cams I'd put up for coyotes and trespassers. I ran inside, checked the footage, and there it was. Grainy, shaky, but clear enough. Karen, hauling cans of gas, dumping them all over my backyard, striking a lighter and running. My hands shook as I hit pause. Finally, proof. I took the footage straight to the sheriff's office. They didn't hesitate. They arrested her the same week for arson and destruction of property. But Karen wasn't done. From the moment she sat in that interrogation room, she started spinning lies. She told them I'd filled the pool with toxic chemicals, that she was protecting the community. She claimed the land was HOA property again, dragged the whole board into it, and demanded their lawyers defend her. Suddenly, it wasn't just Karen. It was me against the entire HOA machine. Court was a circus. Her attorney strutted around, throwing words like easement, common rights, and public safety. Karen sat there smirking like she was untouchable. But every time they played that footage, the room got quiet. You can argue property lines all you want, but you can't argue with video of you dumping gas and lighting a match. When it was my turn, I laid it all out. The deed with my name on it. The cop's testimony that they'd been to my property before. The damage estimates from the fire department. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told the judge how close I'd come to losing everything. How my wife couldn't even sleep now because every creak outside made her think someone was back to finish the job. The judge wasn't impressed with Karen's theatrics. He banged the gavel and ruled guilty. She was convicted of arson, sentenced to prison, and because she'd dragged the HOA into it, the association itself was ordered to pay for the damages. My pool, my yard, every cent it would take to make it right. They were on the hook. But the biggest blow came when the court ordered the HOA dissolved entirely. Years of bullying, power trips, and fake rules ended in one stroke. Karen was hauled out in cuffs, her face pale, her pearl necklace shaking against her throat. She didn't look so powerful then. I stood there, papers in hand, not cheering, not smiling, just breathing. The nightmare was over, and for once, it was her turn to live with the consequences. Walking back to my truck, I didn't feel triumphant. Exactly. More like steady, like I'd proven something, not just to her, but to myself, that even when I thought I couldn't fight anymore, I had more fight left in me than I knew. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When someone tries to take what's yours, silence is surrender. Stand up, even when it costs you.